Get this water off me. What's up, everybody? How's everybody doing? Welcome to another episode of Sports with Ray. This is episode 24. I'm your host, Raymond Ray Rod, the all-knowing, really intelligent, really knows a lot, and people act like he doesn't know a lot, except for when they want to use him to prove their point. Yeah, that's me. I'm not going to do the AKAs because Jesus and Muriel, they did that and they crushed it, so there's no reason to even kind of jump into that. I'm still sorry they broke up. I hope they find a way. They ain't even got to get together again, just move forward. But hope everybody had a good weekend. Getting into the nitty gritty of the NBA season. It's on that back end. And I ain't talking about finesse two-time, you know what I'm saying? But it's on the back end of the season. I liked that people came back from the All-Star break. The defense got a little better. With a couple of exceptions. That Sacramento Clippers game was crazy, but I've seen better defense, more effort. Things are getting realer because there's so many people that's in position. A 5-game winning streak or a 5-game losing streak can have you in the West either go from 7th to 3rd or 4th to 13th. And then in the East, you have the Bucks, who are percentage points ahead of the Celtics, and the 76ers are only a couple games back. And then behind there, you have Cleveland, New York, Brooklyn's faltering, and that bunch right there. So there's packs where, a 4 or 5 game winning streak could solidify home court advantage for some people, or get home court in the first round, or have you in the play-in game. And you can tell there's a little more urgency. I ain't gonna lie, this is what I love to see. So we'll just start, first of all, of course, Russell's first game with the Clippers was against Sacramento, which they lost in double overtime. And it was a good showing. I'm not going to really stress on that. That was just crazy. I don't think it was much defense being played that game. That was the second highest total score in NBA history. But I want to focus on the Celtics and the 76ers. That was a great game from start to finish, back and forth. You can see, they mentioned it, I've been listening to people, they mentioned it how Tatum it looks like he's wearing down a little bit, which is natural. He's been playing the majority of the season, really ain't got no rest, and this is when you got to kind of push through. This is that Kobe part where you just got to do other things. Sometimes it ain't just going to go. And you just, maybe just get a couple days here and there because you're not going to get up to, the All-Star break for a lot of people who didn't have a lot to do, that's when they were able to recharge. But when you're a superstar, it's only going to get like this more and more. You see, the better you get, the more responsibilities you're going to have, like a LeBron and all them during their prime. They really ain't get a lot of rest. You just got to get it out, figure out a way you can rest, It's a learning process for him. So he ain't shoot well. He didn't shoot well against the Knicks. Also, I'll get to that as well. But Joel Embiid did his thing, 41-12, but it was a tough 41-12. It was. Boston has always been his kryptonite. Al Horford, he's going to dog Al Horford, but Al Horford knows how to play into where, you can't stop people from getting their stats when they're that great, but you can make that one or two key plays when the money's on the line that can determine the game. And Al just knows how to play. And Robert Williams, they know how to switch and make it difficult for him. James had an off game, Meanwhile, Brown did his thing. Brown had 26. Brown was pacing. Brown is consistent. They really had, they make Philadelphia make it to Tobias. It's almost like he has to be the primary wing defender when you have, essentially, because you want to keep him, Maxey, and Harden on the floor. Somebody's going to have to step up and take that assignment. Because you can have PJ on the floor. PJ can only guard one person. Let's say if he tries to guard, he can guard Tatum. He can't guard Brown. You see what I'm saying? Or he can guard Brown. So somebody's going to have to make that better effort. You see what I'm saying? Like, okay, Tobias, that's up to them. I have my opinion. James, I know he's old. James is the most capable out of Tobias, Maxey, and Harris are playing the best defense, but you already asked him to do so much. Even though, you have him run the point, so he's not expending as much energy. He still gets his buckets when he wants to. But James is the person, even though he's the oldest out of the three, who, if he wants to, when he wants to, can play the best defense. I know that may sound crazy, but I've seen James play defense. You know what I'm saying? 6'5", 220. He can stay in front of people. People ain't going to back him down and bully him when he wants to. So one of those three have to. You can't, to ask Tobias to take less shots and then become like a defensive stopper, that's not in his DNA. And, you're going to have him disengaged. So if they want, that's what they need to win a championship, because they have the pieces there. People always say, essentially when you play, man, it's not perfect. Life ain't perfect. It's somebody that's willing to make that ultimate sacrifice for the greater good of the team. James made one sacrifice. He said, he realized this is Joel's team. And also, Tobias realized he's taking less shots. He's the Kevin Bosh. I call him Kevin Bosh. You know what I'm saying? Kevin Love and Chris Bosh. He, because Tyrese Maxey is elevated, that doesn't mean he shouldn't play better defense. But so now you got Tobias. Okay, you want him to take less shots, and you want him to be like technically the best wing defender from somebody that's more of a scorer, who was a tweener. That's a hard ask. But that's up to them. But anyway, the game was tight. It was going back and forth. Jason was off. They played great defense. It was a real physical game, just like Philly and Boston should be. And then, Marcus Smart with a great inbound pass to Jason, who crossed him, step back three, bang! You know what I'm saying? Game time. Joel hit about a 60-footer. That didn't count. It was great theater. Philly needs to win those games. Philly doesn't seem to win those games in the regular season. Like when you need to see, just like when Ben came last year and then played, and Kyrie just was like, let me guard James, and they just got blown out. They don't seem to win the game. And nobody wants to admit this, but I continue to admit this. They need Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler was the perfect combo to Joel Embiid. He's the closer that you need. He's the wing defender that you need. And there's nothing wrong. Like you chose to pay Tobias and Ben. And I understand Ben and Tobias. And so you have Tobias there instead of Jimmy Butler. And it shows like every time. And Joel knows that even they played yesterday. They played on Monday. Philly and Miami. Jimmy with the key buckets end up winning the game. You see what I'm like? That's that DNA, that DNA that Jimmy has works with Joel better than anybody else you could try to pair him with, whether it's Ben, Tobias, Maxey's a good third, but Jimmy is the perfect. And, as good as Bam Adebayo is, he's not Joel. So they're each missing, and they know it. And that's some of that next lifetime type stuff. Like, man, maybe in another lifetime they do play together and they do win. Because that's the combo you need. I know they lost in dramatic fashion to Toronto. It took a fadeaway 3 in Game 7 by Kawhi. That's how close they were. You see what I'm saying? To going to the Eastern Conference Finals. So, you gotta, So, I don't know if it's karma, but that just seems to be circling around. But anyway, the final score was 110-107. I know I went back and forth because they played kind of consecutively. Well, Philly and Boston played Saturday, and then Philly played Monday. And then Celtics played the Knicks on Monday. And so the Knicks, and when you put the Knicks and I lost my train of thought. Well, I was about to say the Knicks and the 76ers, they're in the same division as Boston, so they can play them 4 times a year, so they know how to play them, so they're able to get physical with them. They know where they're going. So it's no coincidence, and they're a little bigger and physical in certain areas where Jason Tatum is a little wiry. He got a little stronger, but now you got it. So you go from PJ Tucker beating you up and all that, Tobias, to then you're going to Julius Randle and Mitchell Robinson, who played like the best player. Mitchell Robinson played like the Knicks are going to be a problem. He defends the rim. He looks like Tyson Chandler-ish, And so Jason had 2 bad games. You could tell he's frustrated. He got ejected out of his first game because he was complaining. Not the stretch they wanted to. So you win 1, you lose 1. But he's that little fatigue. So we'll watch out for that. That was a good victory by the Knicks. Brunson is not the star that everybody wants New York to have, but he's the star that they need to have. You see what I'm saying? He's New York with the grit and everything. You want them big name stars, but shit, y'all ain't won, so you can't tell me what you need. You can't, you know what I'm saying? Like, listen to Stephen A. Like, y'all want the big name star when y'all had one. Yeah, Ewing. Okay, Spree, Houston. Starbury, and it was cool, but they didn't win. I love Melo. Melo was the last one. Y'all took him for granted. Phil did him dirty. Julius. Barrett, it seems like he's kind of phasing out. They fell out of love with him. Especially, I feel like Brunson coming in. Barrett just became a third wheel, and he's not used to that, so he may need to go somewhere else, but man, New York is a real solid team, and sometimes you don't need a star. I feel like they need to trade Obi Toppin. I'm gonna say it all the time. Let him get his shine. He can start somewhere else. But shout out to the Knicks for that victory. Shout out to the Heat for beating Philly. You know what I'm saying? The East is what's up, and we also can't forget about on Sunday the Bucks winning 104-101. Chris Middleton still coming off the bench, so working him back, ramping him up. Drew Holiday had 33. Still played that clamp up defense on Booker. That last play, swiping, getting the turnover. Brook Lopez with a key layup. Bobby Portis had come back. Giannis is sat out. Giannis is going to be available to play the next game. The Bucks and Giannis just continue. They're not sexy, so they continue to get disrespected. This is my podcast, so I'm gonna say how I feel. I don't, not taking anything from Jokic. There are also a lot of other players that are doing great things. His triple-double is being celebrated as it should, but kind of like Kendrick said, but Russell's was diminished, and he's shorter, and I don't understand it. Both should just be celebrated. But the way Russ was talked about, they've won like the last 28 games when Jokic got a triple-double. That's dope. At one point, Russ, they won 75% of the games when Russ got a triple-double, and it was not celebrated the same way. And he has a way bigger sample size. It's like the triple-double. People keep saying the triple-double doesn't matter and everything. You go get a triple-double then. People saying it doesn't matter, but it's only one person that's doing it. 2. You keep with more possessions and everything. People always want, how can you diminish what they're doing like that? But y'all did it for Russ, so I'm not gonna lie. When I look at Joker and then I just see the celebration and it's automatic that he should be a 3-time MVP. He's in the running. I definitely felt like Joel should have got it last year. Y'all didn't want to give it to Giannis 3 times in a row. Giannis arguably could have won it 4 or 5 times. He's averaging more 31 and 13 and 5 assists. He's elite on both ends, which Jokic is not. And then Giannis, man, there's just a bias. There's just a bias, you know. That's how I feel. There's just a bias. 31, 13, and 5. Elite on both ends. A man has won MVP and Defensive Player of the Year. It's frustrating, but good win. It was a great win by the Bucks and the Suns, who had their number. I think they're 8-2, including the finals as they played them. You know, something like that, something in that nature. It's just, it's going to be interesting, especially if we see it again. It's going to be a little different. KD comes back on Wednesday, since being out January 8th with the MCL. They'll play Charlotte, who unfortunately lost their point guard, LaMelo Ball, for the year with a fractured right foot. That's unfortunate. He just can't get right. You know, he's been injured all year, but he was averaging like 23, 6, and like 8. He's just scratching the surface. He just needs to stay healthy. They need to get him some help before he'll be out of there. And so, but yeah, I kind of tended to go off a little bit. But the Joker had 40, 17, and 10 against the Clippers as they won 134 to 124 in overtime on Sunday. Kawhi is looking like Kawhi. You know, the age-old adage, as long as he stays healthy, that's all you always have to preface it by. If he stays healthy, the Clippers are going to at least the Western Conference Finals. If he and George can stay healthy, I would love to see Russell help. And, you know, it usually doesn't get the workout that way, but I want to see it. Usually when I hope for something, hope doesn't always, but just for him, because he's been they put him through basketball hell, which is what they like to do with certain people that they feel they can get one up on them by saying the media, and then they don't have to have any repercussion. I was watching the game, the Clipper game and Nuggets game. I saw Skip tweeting, talking about Russ wasn't celebrating and all this. He was getting upset when Russ was the first one off the bench. He was cheering for like 2.5, 3 quarters. Like that end of the third, end of the fourth, even in overtime, like just because he didn't cheer. So you saw 35 plays and he cheered loudly 32, and you focus on the 3. Maybe he didn't look mad or anything. He just looks like Russ, and so you just kind of work on that. And that, you know, that you mess with people's careers, but I mean, that's what they do. Whatever. Like I said, Kawhi had 33. He's rounding into form. Paul George is getting there. They're deep. They just have to figure out their rotation. Mason Plumlee is a great add for them. Give him a different look. He's a good like point center where he can rebound. He's a great passer. He can finish. He's just a good fundamental player. So that's a great addition to him. Bones Highland will come in and do something special. I don't think they really need him. They just got too many people. He's almost in a position like Luke Kennard where they both can ball, but you got too many. Like it's like him and Covington, who are key pieces, going to be left on the bench, but maybe called on because Ty Lue is real good at that. So they'll figure it out. But they're deep. They're deep. They just got to put it together. Of course, the comeback from the Lakers went down 27. They ended up beating the Mavericks on Sunday. LeBron said he hurt his foot pop, and then it looks like he's going to be out for multiple weeks, which is not what you want to hear. It's unfortunate. It's like they can't get right either. Since he's been in LA, they've missed the playoffs twice. They won a championship, and then they got eliminated in the first round. And they're in 12th place now. They got the lineup. This is the best blend. They usually change teams for him a lot during halftime, but this is the best blend that they got. And this is the time where Anthony Davis needs to be Anthony Davis. Even with LeBron out, if what I think is going to happen happens, I think they'll still be like 6th, 7th. I know it sounds crazy because I always say LeBron is like one of those leaders you have leaders that are able to do everything, and then sometimes when they're able to do everything, that lets everybody be complacent. But then if they call out sick or anything, then the whole office at that point turns into a tizzy because nobody knows what to do, and the boss didn't delegate. And so at this moment, this will be perfect. It's perfect because hopefully D'Lo's okay. D'Lo gets back. More people can find out their roles. Vanderbilt with Davis is perfect. He's going to be, if he gets time, if you let him play 25, if you let him play 30 plus minutes, he'll be a first team all defensive player, first team all NBA. He'll be a defensive player of the year because he can really play 1 through 5. And he's been traded twice, almost like people haven't realized his talent. And he's 6'9", 214, just lanky. I called him like a little young plastic man. And shout out to Stacey Allen, but a little taller. Like as far as that versatility, he can do a lot. He can cover up a lot of stuff. Between him and AD, they cover up a lot of stuff. So then you got D'Lo, Malik. I'll still keep Hachimura off the bench, put Lonnie Walker back in there. Or they might have Troy Brown. Like the bench, you still got Austin Reeves, Schroeder, Hachimura, Walker, Mo Bamba. So they still deep. You can still hold down. You can do more than hold down. This is the time where, like when Boogie Cousins went down. When Boogie Cousins went down in New Orleans, when we saw that AD, that was the AD like, nah, he might be the best player in the league. Like, yeah, okay, we know it's KD, we know it's Steph, we know it's Bron, but I can't say they're better than him. Like, I can't say, like, yeah, they just gonna dog. Like, yeah, they just here and he's here. Nah, he was on that same level, how he played the last half of the season after the All-Star break. So, hoping for LeBron with a speedy recovery. All these other people that are injured, hopefully they get speedy recoveries. This NBA season is coming down. Things are getting more interesting. I'm pretty sure there's going to be a couple more people on the buyout list. I know, like I said, Kevin Love to Miami. We'll see how that works. We know Spoelstra, who's a Hall of Fame coach who doesn't get enough credit for some reason. I know the narrative. He's going to make sure he fits. He's also going to help out Bam, too. Because Caleb Martin and them at the 4 is just too small. And you don't need a Kevin Love, Bam Adebayo lineup. But it doesn't hurt sometimes. And he still gives you space. He gives you spacing to where Jimmy and Adebayo can still work. So it's going to be real interesting to see. It looks like, just some Bears talk. They're finally talking about, looks like the Bears could trade down twice if it works out right to get a draft capital. And they're leaning on trading number 1 pick instead of trading Justin Fields. If you watch my YouTube and my podcast, you know how I feel about that. I know sometimes it's a little posturing, but, now I'm thinking maybe the Bears said, hey, Mike Tannenbaum, man, do me a favor, man. Start this buzz. And he said, yeah, I can do that because I can see how, And because I just, like I said, when somebody does something historic, you just can't ignore that. I know it was running. But if for the fact he's not a running quarterback, he's just a mobile quarterback who, out of necessity, racked up the second most rushing yards in NFL history by a quarterback and didn't play all the games. I mean, with lackluster talent. Like, the talent was decent, but as a whole, they weren't. So you could be decent here, but if you're not decent in certain areas, like, you can't get the best result. And so he made the bet. Like, everybody keeps talking, like, a lot of these quarterbacks that they're saying they want to stay in the pocket, they get injured in the pocket. Even, like, everybody got injured. That's football. Joe Burrow, he started out, had to get his appendix taken out. Josh Allen, UCL injury. Brock Purdy, UCL injury. Trey Lance, injured. Jimmy Garoppolo, injured. Jalen Hurts, shoulder injury. Pat Mahomes, ankle. Lamar Jackson, PCL. Dak Prescott. thumb injury. Aaron Rodgers, thumb injury. So, like, whether you in the pocket or not, man, it's football. They don't wear enough pads. These dudes is bigger, stronger, and faster, more physical. Even though you can't touch them, all it takes is one hit. So they all getting injured. Justin changed the locker room. Like, if you can't see that, he didn't change it just because he was a nice guy. He changed it with how he played. The defense even said, we're leaving you out to dry. So, you can just build upon that. I get emotional when I talk about my Bears, man. My homegirl said he's like blue blockers, you know what I'm saying? I did used to work construction, solar construction, so yeah, I got glasses in the house, so what? But hey, man, just here talking with y'all, man. Just appreciate y'all tuning in with me, listening to me, rambling, just speak my mind and how I feel about certain things, especially with this sports thing. So I'm about to get ready to watch some games, take some more notes, Of course, any questions, comments, feel free. My social media tags are Rei Rob, REIROBB 97. That's Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, and TikTok. And MySpace. No, I ain't got no MySpace. And then, of course, the podcast page is the Rei Rob Report on Facebook. I appreciate y'all time, man. Till next time. Be safe.